Hey guys, welcome back. In this episode, we're going to create our quest giver NPC that will assign the quests to our player in game. The way this is going to work is we're going to have an object in game that's going to be just an empty object that will add components to that are our quests. So we have the Ultimate Slayer quest here, and we'll have an object that we just drag this onto pretty much, but we're going to do it in code, and assign it as a component to that object so that it is then active in game. And once the quest is completed, we'll just remove that component from that object. So while it's active in game, the goals will have event listeners that will be initialized as we set up in the Ultimate Slayer quest itself. Whenever the goal is initialized, we assign an event listener to listen for enemy deaths and then look for specific enemy deaths. That'll be happening once it's a component on an object in the game, because that's whenever the start method is actually activated. Pretty cool approach to this. I know it's a simplified approach, but that's kind of what we're doing here. We're doing simple RPG elements, and this is no different. So the first thing I want to do is I want to create an empty object that's going to act as our quests object. So this is what I'm going to just assign these to whenever they're actually active on the player, just like that. Another thing I want to do is, in the beginning, whenever we created the goal class, I said that goals will need a reference to the quest they are assigned to so that we can check the goals every time a goal is marked as completed. That way, when a goal is completed, we can check the other goals associated with that quest to see if the quest as a whole is completed. So to do that, I'm going to go on my goal class here, and I'm going to add another property that's going to be a quest property called quest. So a quest type property called quest, and we're going to assign the quest to this goal property whenever we initialize it. So I want to go to my kill goal, and this is where we're actually assigning the values to the goal: enemy ID, description, completed, so on. So this is happening from our quest, right? Or from our actual quest object here with new kill goal, and then we pass the values in. So I also want to pass the quest object that we're initializing this on, so our goals will have a reference to that quest, so we can then access the other quest goals from that goal. So to do that on kill goal, I'll actually create a quest parameter called quest, and then I'll actually just assign this to this.quest is equal to quest. This being the property on the goal class, quest being the parameter that we passed the constructor. So now what I want to do is on my Ultimate Slayer, I want to make sure that I pass a reference to this. This being this object being a quest, right? So it's passing a quest object to the constructor. Same goes for right here. This, just like that. So now both goals have a reference to this quest. And you can have this ordered however you want. You can have the quest reference at the end, which might be ideal. But for me, I'm just going to throw it at the beginning there. And now kill goal, meaning goal, has a reference to the quest. So now on goal, what I can do, whenever a quest is completed, whenever a goal is completed, I can then go through that quest reference and say, what's it called? Check goals? Yes, check goals. And that's going to go through all the goals associated with this quest to see if they are all completed. If they are all completed, completed will be marked as true. Okay? And then what we're doing is we're also going on and saying give the reward if completed is true. But what I actually want to do is I want to have the quest giver be responsible for giving the reward to the player. Because I don't want the reward to just seem like it pops out of thin air. Like you're just out there, you killed a slime, and it's like, boom, you completed the quest, good job, here's your reward. No, I want to go back to the person that gave it to me and let them give me the item, so it feels like they're actually giving me an item as a reward for helping them. That kind of thing. Again, it's meaningless, but I just want it to feel that way. So check goals, it's just going to mark completed as true if it is true. There's no other confirmation happening here. You could break this up and have it confirm that this was true if you wanted to, like have it log out something or have it change dialogue, whatever you'd like. I'm not going to worry about that. We're going to keep that as is, because all we care about is if the completed quest if the quest is completed. Nothing else has to happen because the quest giver is going to be responsible for checking to see if the quest was, if the quest was completed, and if it was, it's going to call the give reward method right here. Very simple. So now what I want to do is I want to go back to questing, and I want to create a C# script called quest giver. Just like that. So now quest giver, let's think about this. Quest giver is going to be an NPC. It's going to have an interact method. It's going to handle the dialogue like you would expect. So I want to actually inherit from NPC. That way we can directly override the interact method NPC has. Because we want it to act the same. You click on him, you walk up to him. Once you get to him, the interaction happens. And that's what happens with NPC, and well, all interactables pretty much, but that's mainly NPC because of the dialogue. Once you get up to the NPC, then it starts showing you the dialogue. And I do want to use the base dialogue interaction. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a public override, because we're overriding this method, the virtual method. It's going to be interact. And I want to call the base interact method, because if we look at an NPC, all the base interact method does is just adds dialogue to the dialogue system based on whatever dialogue we add to the string array in the inspector. That's all it does. And we want to do that for the default dialogue. So whenever we first walk up to the NPC and we click on him, we want to see the dialogue like, hey, I have a quest for you. Could you help me do these things? And then you'll be like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then you'll go do it, and you'll come back, and the dialogue will be different, right? That's the idea. But the initial dialogue will still be whatever the NPC is assigned. That's cool. I also want to do something else in interact, though. So we're going to be calling the base interact method, but I also have some conditions to check to decide what we do now. And actually thinking about this base interact method that we're calling is going to be based on a condition. So we'll get into that too. I have a crude drawing up for my crude explanation of this. So what I want to know is I want to know if the quest giver has assigned a quest to the player, if the player has helped the quest giver by completing that quest. So does the player have a quest assigned from the quest giver, and has the player completed said quest giver's quest? So to do this, I need a couple of bools, right? I want to have a property that's going to be a bool, and this is going to be called assigned quest. And this is going to be true when the quest giver assigns a quest to the player. It's going to be marked false once the player completes that quest, or in fact, once the quest giver realizes that the player completed that quest. And by that, I mean the quest will be completed out in the field, but when you come back and talk to the quest giver, that's when he realizes, oh, okay, the quest was completed. And that's when we'll mark assigned quest as false, and then we'll mark helped as true. Helped is a way of saying you helped me complete this quest. Now I could call it like quest completed, but I want to separate that from the actual quest, because like I said, the quest has its own ability to check to see if it was completed, right? The quest giver is just looking to see if the quest was completed. It's not running its own checks. It's just looking to see if the player did what they agreed to do and therefore helped the quest giver. Because the quest system is its own thing that is handled on its own. The quest giver is just looking at that information. So now that we have these properties, I want to use them. So let's think about this. If the quest was not assigned, and if we have not helped this quest giver, what should we do? Well, we should assign the quest, right? They've never been given the quest, and obviously they haven't actually completed the quest for the quest giver. So if those two things are false, then I want to go ahead and assign the quest. So we'll do an if check here. If not assigned quest, as I said, and not helped. So neither of those things are true. That means we need the quest because we've not done it and we don't have it. So we'll just do an assign quest. Else if, so if those two things don't happen, I want to check another condition here. So let's say the quest is assigned, but we haven't actually helped the quest giver yet. So it's not been marked as completed for the quest giver. what I want to do then, so obviously I have the quest assigned. So what I want to do is check to see if the quest was completed. What's happening is this only happens whenever I talk to the NPC, right? So I get the quest, I go out on my mission, I do my thing, I come back, I talk to the NPC again. This is when this happens. So I'm talking to him, I have the quest assigned. It needs to know, did he go out and finish the quest, or is he just come back and had the quest partially done or whatever? It's either done or it's not done. It's all we care about. So now it's going to check to see if the quest was done. So if we do have the quest assigned, but we have yet to help him, that means we still need to help him, but maybe we already have. So let's go ahead and check. So we're going to do a check. So now what I want to do is quest giver. As we made out here, we have a quest object. Quest giver will need a reference to that quest object because that's where we actually assign the quests to the player. So to do this, we can't by default use a property because it won't be available in the inspector because the serializer is weak. So what I want to do is actually have a private field that's going to be called, it's going to be a game object called quests. Now you also know that private fields are not serialized for the inspector, so they're not exposed to the inspector, but I can say they should be. I can force them to be and make the serializer look at them and expose them to the inspector, just like that. So now we can actually assign quests in the inspector. And I also want to have, we want a text field or a string field that will allow us to pass a string to quest giver that will help it decide the quest it should be giving. So what I want to do is I want to pass a string value that will then convert to a type of object that will then be responsible for adding the component to the quest object. And the way we do that is I want to pass a string that matches the script file. So if I want to make sure this quest giver gives the Ultimate Slayer quest, I would pass it the string Ultimate Slayer, right? It's going to take that, search for a type that matches it, and return that type. And that's what we want. Notice it matches the script file name Ultimate Slayer. It's exactly what we want. If it was called Donkey Rider, then it would be the same thing, right? Just the name matches the name of the script file. So what I want to do is we're going to have another private string called quest type. Again, we're going to serialize field with a serialized field attribute there. And if you don't know what attributes are, check out my Unity Tips episode on attributes. If you don't know what they are, you'll probably learn a lot of stuff that'll make you happy there. So check it out. Link in the description. So now what we can do is we can take the string, convert it to a type, and add that as a component to the quest object, which is the same thing as taking this quest object and dragging Ultimate Slayer on there. We added Ultimate Slayer as a component on quests. That's what we're going to be doing, but in a few more steps, because it has to be dynamic, right? It has to be handled programmatically so it knows when to do what. So I'll have a void method down here called assign quest. The whole point of this quest giver is to assign quest. It does other things as well, but this is the main point. So assign quest, what's this going to do? It's going to first set assign quest to be equal to true. That way, it knows next time I come back and talk to this guy that this is the condition that it should look for, and that once I talk to him, it'll check to see if he needs to reward me because a quest is currently assigned. When this is false, it doesn't make it past this one, so it'll still assign it, right? So I want to make sure that I'm like, hey, this is done. Now we're looking at this one, that kind of thing. And now what I want to do is the fun part. So before I do this, though, I want to actually create one more object type up here, one more variable. This one can actually be a property. It's going to be a quest called quest again. So this is going to be the quest. It can be private. This is going to be the quest that the giver assigns to the player's quest log or whatever it is. We're going to use this to keep a reference to the component so that we know what quest this quest giver assigned and where it is. So what I mean by that is we're simply going to add the component to that quest object, but we're going to assign the reference to this quest property so we have a direct reference to it later on when we need to check the completion status of that quest. And simply what I mean by that is we're going to say quest is equal to, and then we're going to add the component to quests.add component. And this is where it gets interesting. So back in the day, not that long ago, we could have passed add component a simple string parameter, and it would have done the type lookup for us, right? So if I would have said, as an example, Ultimate Slayer, back in the day, it wouldn't complain about this. It would just be like, okay, that's a string value. I'm then going to do a type lookup to look for a type of object that matches this, and then assign that as a component to whatever object you're talking about. And today we can still do that, but it's obsolete, so it'll give us the yellow squigglies and say, hey, please don't do that. Right now I'm getting an error because of a type issue between component and quest, which is simply fixed by just typecasting this in parentheses as quest, right? Because the result of this is in fact a quest object. We know that for sure. So this is telling me GameObject.addComponent string is obsolete. Please use the string argument, with the string argument has been deprecated. Please use the one with the type argument instead. So to do that, what I can do is I can go through the system namespace, because what we want to do is we want to still pass the string value, but we want to convert it to the type, right? So we want to find the type that matches that string value. So to do that, I'm going to go through system, go through a class called type, and in here we have a method called getType. And this allows us to simply pass a string value to getType, and it will return the type that it is. So in this case, if I pass a string value of Ultimate Slayer, then that will convert that. It will return back the value of this script file right here, being this actual script file, which we can use. Oh, it's confused by this. It's fine. I'll save it and confuse it less, I think. So it's this actual Ultimate Slayer script file that it uses to make a component from that, and so on, right? So what I want to do is pass this the quest type string field that will assign a value to in the inspector. So we can say it's Ultimate Slayer that this quest giver gives. And then there's another quest giver that gives, Donkey Rider. I'm not going to make that a thing, guys, don't worry. But it's going to assign that value, and it's going to get that type and then return that component, and then it's going to add that component to quests. Very simple. And then it's going to take all this, and we're going to keep a reference to this component and the quest property that we created here. So later on we can do a if quest.completed, right? Because we have a direct reference to that quest that this quest giver is responsible for. Pretty cool, right? Pretty cool. So what I want to do now is, in this conditional check, I want to do assign quest, just like that. So if we don't have the quest and we've not finished the quest for the quest giver, assign the quest to the player. Else, if that's not true, and we do have the quest, but we've not completed it, we want to check the quest, right? So I want to have another method down here, void check. I'll just call it check quest because I don't know what else to call it. Please spend more time with your naming than I am. Check quest. And what check quest is going to be responsible for doing is actually going to take if quest.completed, and if the quest is completed, what's it going to do? Well, the first thing I want to do is go through the quest and do give reward. Remember how we said we don't want the quest to be responsible for giving the reward. We want the quest giver to be responsible for giving the reward. And in this case, the method is still on quest, so it sounds like I'm doing something differently than I'm talking about, but the quest giver is still responsible for invoking that method, and that's the big difference. I then want to make sure that helped is true. So that means that we have helped this NPC with this quest, which means neither of these things will happen, right? So we'll come down to maybe another else here. And we could pass in a different dialogue message that you get once you have completed the quest and you come back and talk to him. He'll be like, oh, thanks for that help before, mister. I really appreciate it. That's how we do that. Helped is equal to true. I can also actually take the assigned quest and set it to false because we don't have currently a quest assigned by this quest giver. Obviously we don't, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to set it to false. it doesn't even matter to the logic whatsoever. So that's fine. I then want to pass a dialogue string that happens once this happens, because that means like you came back, you completed the quest, and he's going to say, thank you for your help, here's your reward, right? So I'll go through the dialogue system, instance, add new dialogue. And now this dialogue takes a string parameter that is an array of strings. So I'm going to do new string, and then we're going to initialize that with some values in here. The first one being, thanks for that, here's your reward. Who cares, right? And then also it takes a name parameter, so I'm going to pass it name. That's part of the NPC object there. And this could be multiple pages of dialogue. You could add a comma and say, you know, more dialogue, whatever it may be. Just like that. Pretty cool. And I also want to have dialogue. I'm going to just copy this line here, the statement. I want to have dialogue that depends on things, right? So if we currently have a quest assigned and we have not helped him, we're going to check. But this is going to add dialogue if it is true. And then else, if we have not completed the quest, I want to say, you've not done the quest, please go back and do it, or something like that. You're still in the middle of helping me. Get back at it. He's very grateful. Make that an exclamation. He's exclaiming that. Get back at it. We don't want more dialogue. So there's that. I can also have it, if you have completed the quest and you go back and talk to him, this is the dialogue you get. It would be, thanks for that stuff that one time. And then I also want to make sure that I call the check quest method here. So now what we should have, also I want to put base interact in here, because we only want to see that if we don't have the quest and we've not helped the person, right? We only want to see the original dialogue if those things are met. So now, if we don't have the quest and we don't help the person, he's going to say like, hey, mister, could you go kill some slimes and vampires for me? And then you're going to get the quest. And then you're going to come back with the quest not completed, say, and you're going to talk to him again. He's going to be like, hey, you're still on that thing for me. Please continue that. And then you're going to come back once you finished it, and he's going to be like, hey, you finished that. Thanks for doing that. Here's your reward. And then you'll come back later to talk to him just for fun and have a chit-chat with your old pal. And he's going to be like, hey, thanks for that thing that one time. Thumbs up, happy face. And that's going to be that, right? So that's your friendship in a nutshell with this guy. So with that, that's all of that, I hope. We'll see as we go and we actually make it work. So I'm not going to end the video here. I probably should and cut it in half, but I know you guys want to just see it, so I'm not going to split it up for you. So what I want to do is I want to make another enemy for the vampire really fast. Really, really fast. How can I do this really fast? I'm going to go to scripts. I'm going to go to my slime. I'm going to duplicate him. I'm going to call it vampire. I'm going to open it up. Reload. Call him vampire. Save. We're not going to change loot or stats because I don't care. You probably should for your game because they need to be different. For mine, I don't care. Like you could change, 300. Excuse me. You could change it to like 300 experience. Change his stats. Change his loot table. I don't really care. There we go. And then I want to go into my resources folder. Go to enemies. I have my slime. I'm going to duplicate him because we need to have a prefab of the enemies we use so the spawners can use them. So I want to call this vampire, and I want to get rid of slime because we're going to add our own script that is our vampire script. So go to scripts, vampire, add vampire. We can move him up. Current health is 0. Max health is 20. You need to assign an item to him. So I want to, or the actual item object that you use to create pickup items from. And that's just in resources here. Just assign the item object. Boom, just like that. Aggro layer mask is player. So whatever causes aggro for this guy, it's the player object, obviously. And there's our vampire. So now what I want to do is set up spawners so they can actually spawn in the world. So I can duplicate this spawner. I'll call it a vampire spawner. I don't know if we have underscore naming or if we have standard camel casing naming. I don't know what we're using, but we're going to go with that. And I'm going to assign my enemy vampire as the object to spawn. And drag this fella out here. Duplicate, make a couple of these spawners, just like that. I then want to take my slime spawn and duplicate him, put him out here. Just like that. And let's look at an Ultimate Slayer. You gotta kill one of each. I changed this when I was playing around with things. I want to make us have to kill 2 of each. Okay, cool. And then, that's probably it, right? So I want to create the actual quest giver now. So I'm going to take an NPC. I'm going to duplicate him, drag him right here. That's where he is. And I'm going to actually remove the NPC script from him. And the reason I'm doing this is because our quest giver object, our quest giver component, inherits from NPC. So it is an NPC, right? So I go to scripts, I take my quest giver, which is actually in questing, and I go to my NPC, add him there. We still have the default NPC fields with dialogue and name, but we then have the quest giver fields, quest and quest type. That's pretty cool, right? So now what I can do is take my quest object, assign it to the quest field, give it a quest type. It's going to be Ultimate Slayer, whatever quest this guy gives, and the name of the type. So in this case, it's Ultimate Slayer. He's going to have dialogue that's like 3, oh, not 30. Oh, goodness, no. And it's going to be like 3 panels long. It's going to say, hey, friend, help me, please. There are a ton of vampires and slimes to the south. Kill, this is interesting dialogue. Kill a couple of each and come back to me, please. His name is Tomlinston. And that's all we need. Pretty cool. So now we have a quest giver that hopefully the dialogue that we have set up works in the logical order that it should. We'll find out. I'm going to save everything so we don't lose everything. And now, well, let's see what happens. Click play. Going to equip my sword, just like that. Kill this guy, get him out of the way. We don't need him there. Follow me around. And our quest giver's up here. And our thing spawned, as you can see. And we could change these models. We can make them different materials. We can change the size of them depending on, vampire versus slime by simply changing the prefab object. Pretty cool. I like the system we have in place for that. So I can talk to this guy. Hey friend, please help me. Now if we look at our quest object, it now has Ultimate Slayer component on it, which means our quest is active for as long as the quest is active. Whenever I remove the quest from this object, it will no longer be active, so we're not tracking the quest, therefore tracking the goals. So hey friend, help me please. There are a ton of vampires and slimes to the south. Kill a couple of each and come back to me, please. So pointless dialogue, but you get the point. And then I'm going to, I already have it equipped. Notice my items I have, so we can see if we get a reward for this. I don't know who's who. I don't know what this guy is. I'm going to kill both of them. That was pretty easy. I'm going to kill this guy. This guy. I don't know how many we have to kill, honestly. Oh, I got to kill 2 of each, but I don't know which one's which. Okay, notice I just walked into him and he died. I feel like we fixed this probably 6 or 7 times, but I keep duplicating the issue because I keep taking old copies of the project because I just switched hard drives. That's enough, by the way. If I go now back to this guy, what does he say? Thanks for that. Here's your reward. More dialogue. Now we look and we have a log potion as a reward. Ta-da! A questing system. He gave you a list of chores to do. You went and did it, and you came back and got a useless potion. That's RPG questing for you. And now if I talk to him again, thanks for the stuff that one time. How cool is that, right? We have like contextual dialogue, even though it's a bit more involved than that. Look how much loot on the ground. Ooh. Even though it's a bit more involved than that sounds, it's still pretty cool that we can easily have that just based on that. And we can also have it, that made no sense. And we can also have it be dialogue that is quest specific. So our quests can have an array of dialogue each. right? It depends on what happens. So we can have default dialogue, then we can have progress dialogue, then we can have complete dialogue, all quest specific. Right now, it's not quest specific, it's just quest giver specific. So the first dialogue is assigned to each quest giver, and then after that, it just says, thank you for your help, here's your reward. And that's a generic response from all NPCs that are quest givers. But however you want to do that, like I said, you can make it quest specific and have that in here per quest, and then use that dialogue on your quest giver. But we don't need that. So there you go. That's a start to a quest system. Now, I'm not done with the system. I do want to add a collection goal because that's something simple to do, and it also opens up the possibilities, right? So we can mix and match, kill 10 slimes, collect 2 bones from the slimes, that kind of thing. Since we have that ability to determine what we picked up, we can easily hook our questing system into that event like we did with the kill goal event. Pretty cool. We may create a couple of different quests. I know the end of this series, the end of the RPG series, this is a separate series kind of, but the RPG series is going to end with us creating a dungeon, a very simple dungeon. Don't think it's going to be anything too exciting. It's going to be a path to follow with some, maybe a chest or some loot spread out. There's going to be some mobs to kill along the way, and at the end, you're going to have this bigger mob. It's not going to be anything special. You're just going to have more health and do more damage, and you're going to kill him, get an item that's going to be part of the collection goal. Then you're going to go back to the quest giver at the beginning of the dungeon and get your reward, and that's going to be the end of the simple RPG. Before that, I also want to add in teleportation devices because I talked about that from the beginning. Something simple that I think is fun, so I want to do that, and we can make use of that in the dungeon as well, like a way to teleport out of the dungeon or something like that when you get done. I want to take and make sure that everything that we've done is squeezed into the dungeon, right? To kind of be like the pretty bow on top of this entire series, because this has been, it's not really the defining series for this channel, because my Making a Simple Game has total, over 1 million views for all the episodes. I don't know how many views it has. It has a lot. The first episode has like 800,000 at this point, which is mind-blowing because that series is it's simple, right? That's the whole point. I want to do another one in the future maybe and actually update it and use things that I've learned along the way. I've learned a lot since then, so it's kind of cool that I've learned along with you guys. Anyway, I got off track there. So that's going to be the pretty bow on top of this amazingly long series. It's taken me a long time to complete. It's bittersweet for me, but that's going to be it, right? Thank you guys for watching this episode and all the ones before. Patreon.com/GameGrind for some cool new things. I'm posting exclusive tutorials over there for my patrons. Not anything like you see here. They're short and sweet. Hey, check out this cool thing you can be doing. That kind of thing. 5-6 minutes long, unedited, raw format. I like the idea. I hope you guys like it too. Also, check out my assets, journal, and stat track. They're pretty cool. And anything you buy like that goes directly to helping me produce more content for the channel, which I know everybody benefits from. Me and you, right? It's not one way. We both get things from it, and that's what's important. And questions, forum.gamegrind.io. New domain, same stuff, same site, same forum. The old domain will take you there too, obviously. So there you go. I have rambled long enough. My name is Austin, and I will see you next time.